Bye, Christine.
Bye, Ryan.
I love you.
Love you, bye.
Oh, I'm so in love with him. Oh,
so annoying. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Christine Kugler and I'm currently a professional dancer on board Royal Caribbean's Ovation of the Seas. And today I'm going to do a get to know my dance captain video. Hi guys! I asked you guys on my Instagram and also on my YouTube community tab to ask some questions that I can ask LJ/Lauren, that's her actual name, but we all call her LJ. We're gonna use your questions and get to know her a little better.
hi everyone. Like Chris said, I'm LJ or Lauren and I'm her dance captain. I have worked with Royal for 5 years. This is my 5th contract with them. First time as dance captain, which I'm loving. I am from Melbourne, Australia. I'm 25, turning 26. So obviously I danced since I was 3, danced all the way through school. And then when I graduated high school, instead of going down the traditional university route, I did a full-time performing arts course for 2 years. So I did 9 to 5 dancing all day, every day. And then at the end of my 2nd year, I got my first contract with Royal for the original cast of Spectrum of the Seas. And I've been here ever since.
Okay, what does being a dance captain entail? Like, how is it different to being a normal dancer?
So I have 2 different parts of my job. Outside of being like a normal cast member, I'm responsible for the integrity of the shows on board. So our 2 shows, Live Love Legs and The Beautiful Dream, I'm responsible for keeping it, or not, if not better than what our directors left us with it at the start of the contract. So I give the cast notes every week on the show. If there's any technical issues, I work with our production manager to make sure they're soothed out. Then the other side of it, I am like the cast manager and mum. I'm a momager!
You are! You're
Oh my
a dance
God.
momager!
I do all of their schedules. I have an email account which I coordinate with other supervisors and managers. I organise all of their muster shifts, supplemental pay, so anyone that has an extra duty on board that gets paid a little bit more, I look after that. I also get this really sexy phone. It's called a deck phone. When you step up to a supervisor role, this has to be on you 24/7. Sometimes it's a very scary wake up at 3 AM when someone's calling you to confirm something, but it does mean that I am responsible for the cast, and if there's any discipline or anything that needs to be dealt with, I am unfortunately the person that has to do that as well.
There's a lot of more admin stuff that you probably wouldn't expect for a dancer, but she handles all of it. How did you get this job? What was your past dance training? And then eventually, how did you become dance captain?
I started with baby ballet, as most dancers do. I was that child that would not stay still at home, so mum put me in ballet. Went to a dance school that provided everything, so trained ballet, jazz, tap, lyrical, contemporary, musical theatre, anything I could. I was very lucky in high school as well. We had a really amazing performing arts program. I was training outside on my competition team with my dance school, but then I was also dance captain at school. So I was getting to put together these amazing musicals and productions. And then when I graduated high school, I trained full-time dance for 2 years, which I love, at Patrick School of the Arts in Melbourne, which was an incredible experience, and I learned a lot about living in the professional world as a performing artist. I've always wanted to be a dance captain. I think that's always something like subconsciously in the back of my head I've always wanted to achieve. I've been with the company long enough now that I understand the policies and procedures. I've done these shows. This is my 3rd contract doing these shows, and so I applied in Miami and had my interview and was very fortunate enough for the office to pick me. I know Christine's spoken about it on her channel before. Royal auditions all around the world, and they come to Melbourne 2-3 times a year. In Australia, they love Australian dances, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I auditioned 2018. I think I auditioned 3 or 4 times. I went to every Royal audition, made it to the end of every round, and even the lady at the desk of casting was like, she looked at me and she's like, weren't you here last time? And I was like, yes. So I auditioned for the 4th time, made it through to the end. I always believe in like the right timing, and something that I was very honest with myself was that I wanted to finish my full-time year. But I literally finished my graduation show and I walked into the studios the next Tuesday and I had a contract.
Oh, that's perfect timing.
Right? It's all about that divine timing. What made it even more special was that I was actually part of a new build. So I was going to be in a brand new cast with brand new shows. Very scary going into your first contract, having no idea what the shows are, no idea what you're entering into as a cruise ship dancer.
What are your extra privileges that you have?
I have my own cabin.
She does.
Which we're currently sitting in.
That is the best privilege she has.
I do have my own cabin with a double bed, which is, I think, the best privilege.
She deserves it though. She works so hard.
Besides that, I am also very lucky at this point in time to have room service privileges. So if there are nights that I'm working late, I can order from the room service menu. Well, I'm the same level as the dancers. In many, like, for everything else really. Those, I'd say, are the only two things that I really get. You know what I would feel like I think is a privilege is that I get to choose the schedule. I think that's a privilege. Like, I can make decisions based on what I think is best for everyone, and I think that's a privilege in itself.
What were your past contracts and what are the other ships you've worked on?
So even though I've only done 5 contracts, only
5.
I've done 5 contracts, but I've only worked on 2 ships. So I've done 2 contracts on Spectrum of the Seas, and I've done 3 on Ovation. So I've done Spectrum, Ovation, Spectrum, Ovation, Ovation.
For those of you that don't know, Spectrum and then my past contract Odyssey and Ovation is all the same kind of class of ship. So they're all very, very similar in like size and
they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same. What's your favorite show you've performed in?
Oh, okay. My favorite royal show that I've performed in is The Beautiful Dream. So the show that we do on here. I don't know why this show resonates with me. I think it's because it's got a bit of everything in it. Like, it's not just lyrical or it's not just commercial. Like, it has a touch of everything, and it's a storytelling show, which I adore. So from a professional level, absolutely that. If I'm gonna look at like in high school, we did Alice in Wonderland. It's called Down the Rabbit Hole, and it was our final like big performance. It was like a full scale production. I just remember having so much fun.
What's the best thing about being dance captain, and then what's the worst thing about being dance captain?
What do you want me to start with? Worst or best?
I think best.
The best thing about being dance captain, I mean, obviously, like we said, having my own cabin is amazing. Selfishly getting to know things first. And also, I think something that I find really special is that, so we've got about 6 people who are new hires, like first professional contracts. It's really special to be able to introduce them to the professional world. And hopefully, I hope I'm nurturing them in a way that they become knowledgeable about the industry and they know that like they're safe with me, at least.
And watching them grow from the moment that they first started the contract to even now, and then like eventually the end of the contract.
Yeah, and I know my first dance captain, Sarah Fenn, and Caitlin Salisbury, actually, they were both my dance captains. Both of them played such a pivotal role in my first contract, my performance and things like that. So I just hope that I can pass that on to, even if it's just one of them. You know, just, I feel like that's something really special.
And then what's the worst thing about being dance captain?
Look, obviously...
There it goes!
That. Bye. So like I said, that. Being dance captain means you have to snap into that supervisor role at any moment, every time. You could be having the worst day and you get a phone call and you're like, yep, let's go. That can be really hard sometimes, and I'm very grateful that I've got Chris, especially sometimes if I mess up. I thought that when we had Spotlight, they only had 1 show, but they had 2 shows that night. The people that I had scheduled were out for dinner, so I literally had to ring Chris and be like, get your blacks on, we're going up to Spot. So she's my lifesaver in that.
Yeah.
The hardest thing about being dance captain though is finding that fine line with the cast between professional and personal. You know, when we start this contract, I wasn't dance captain, so I didn't come in as dance captain. I found friendships and developed relationships with people in the cast. So then to actually have to turn around and be like, hey, by the way,
now I'm in charge.
Now I'm in charge, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. It can be really difficult sometimes, and I like to think that I'm a good person for the most part. And
I would say so.
I try.
Something we completely forgot to talk about was reblocks and doing that as dance captain.
Reblocks? I actually love doing reblocks because it's really challenging for me sometimes, especially like if it's in the middle of a show. Sometimes it actually gives me so much energy because my brain just goes, right, let's do this. I tend to do pretty well under pressure.
It's a good quality
for a dance captain.
How do you deal with the challenges of being dance captain?
I cry. I'm
Sometimes.
joking. One thing that I do make sure I do is I remove myself from social situations that might put the personal and the professional hardships on the line. A big thing that I do is, like I said, is I take my alone time. I go to bed early. I try and meditate every morning. Yeah. It is really hard sometimes, and especially being on call 24/7, and there is a pressure to be a role model for the cast.
It's a lot of pressure that can take a toll on you.
I'm also very lucky, like I have such a great group of friends on board, and I have a very supportive partner as well, so between everyone and like me having my rants and my cries, I'm fine for the most part.
Do you feel that your leadership role affects your social dynamic with the cast?
Yes, it does. I literally, with some people, have to have, I'm talking to dance captain LJ, I'm talking to friend LJ. And that works actually really great for some people. They go, I'm coming to you as a friend, or I'm coming to you as a supervisor. Because sometimes I do get put in situations where I'm like, supervisor is telling me one thing, but my friend is telling me another. It can be really hard to balance, and it's another reason I don't like texting. Messages can get confused over there, which is probably another reason I'm not the biggest social butterfly. There's my water bottle. It says lover of cancelled plans. I do sometimes feel like I have to not miss out, but I have to be careful about what I choose to do.
We're also all living and working together, so there's no like boundary of space.
Yeah.
And so especially as a manager, it's like hard to find that line between being a person and the boss. What happens if a dancer isn't meeting expectations and is consistently messing up choreography?
This can get really hard, and this is where personal and professional get really hard, because people think that I'm having a go at them. We have evaluation, so if you're new to the company, so after 90 days they'll have a sit down meeting with you, and I do this with the cast as well, and I go, hey, you're doing really well, this is what we're loving, this is what you could possibly improve on. I love our cast, they're amazing. But in terms of shows, we have show notes every week, so if people aren't listening to notes, I have to have a meeting with them and be like, hey, I've noticed that you're not taking your notes. Can we explain why? Do I need to deliver them in a different way? Do you need to like work one-on-one with me, etc, etc. We do have discipline on board, so there's like a hierarchy of discipline. There's consequences to, you know, to be dealt if you aren't doing your job. And worst comes to worse, I will reach out to Shoreside and be like, hey, I have a cast member who isn't doing XYZ and they're getting really hard to work with, etc, etc. I've not had to do this personally, which I'm very grateful for, so love you cast 13. At the end of the day, if it gets really bad, they might be asked to leave the contract, or they won't be offered another one.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when we're on board, you are the boss of the show integrity.
Yes.
So we're not obviously goofing off when we've done the same show 100 times. LJ makes sure we're in line and we're still taking corrections and like constantly getting better as dancers, so that every cruise, every guest that comes and watches the show watches the same show consistently. Do you feel like you get to enjoy ports and activities the same way as the other dancers, or do you feel like you're on the clock 24/7?
Definitely feel like I'm on the clock 24/7. I do get to enjoy ports and activities, I definitely do, but I also have to put work first. Like for example, if someone goes out of a show, there's lots of paperwork that goes with that in terms of writing the report and why they were out of shows and stuff like that. So when that happens, I tend to take a day because it has to be submitted within 12 hours. we're in port the next day, well, I can't get off, I need to write that. So sometimes I do have to come back early from port. I have to not get off at all, depending on my workload of the day. Obviously my job comes first, the cast comes first for me, so if anything ever happens, I need to be at people's beck and call. Another thing that is a blessing, I was doing this itinerary last year, so I've been to all of these ports, so I don't feel really bad about missing them if I can't get off.
Any tips for anyone who would want to be a dance captain in the future?
On an exciting note, I've said this in another one of your videos, that I've been very inspired by Kristine and what she does on YouTube. So I'm actually in the middle of creating a series called the Dance Captain Diaries, where I go through like things that a dance captain needs to do while you're on board and things like that, because I feel like there is a gap when you're trying to move up as dance captain, especially on ships. It's just so different. A tip that I will give is be proactive. Ask to shadow your dance captain. That's a big one. Is a lot of it is learning on the job. I mean, I'm also a dance teacher at home, so this is where like my dance teacher brain comes into it as well. If we were ever in a reblock, and even though the dance captains organised it, go, what would I do? What would I do in this situation? If like Kristine's out of the show, what would I do to reblock? And sometimes it'll be exactly the same as your dance captain. Sometimes it'll be completely different. Challenge yourself, you know, sign up for extra duties. Like I said, ask to sit with your dance captain while they're doing scheduling, things like that. If you work on a royal ship and you have the ability to step up to wardrobe, wig or prop supervisor, I also highly recommend doing that, because it gives you some sort of responsibility that you have to deal with between your job and the cast. Our wardrobe team have to always communicate with the cast about costumes and what's being rotated and things like that, so it gives you a good kind of stepping stone to what dance captain might be like.
What's your favorite memory with me?
Oh my god, I have so many. I have to explain this.
Yeah.
So when I first got to Miami, we got stranded in Chicago for a night because our plane was late. So there was 6 of us sharing one hotel room. It was a big mess. Anyway, I got in the next day. We'd missed orientation and everything. And Tassie and Chris were already in our room, but they weren't there. So I was like, I need a shower. So I went and had a shower. I came back, my hair was in a... Was it in my claw clip?
Yeah.
Like just a mess. I'm in my towel when they came home and I was like, hi!
Nice to meet you.
That was my first introduction to Chris.
And you were like, get used to seeing me like this.
Yeah, I am a bit of a mess sometimes. Chris is like my calming sunrise or sunset. And you are a very important person to me, and especially this contract. Chris is my rock. There are some days where I literally am like, oh my god. And Chris is like, it's fine. Let's go. And she's really good at getting me out of my head. Go. Some days I'm like, I'm just gonna stay on and do work, and she's like, you're coming off for lunch. I'm like, no, and she's like, go get dressed. I'm like, okay. So she becomes like my mum. We went to, was it Maria?
With the sharks?
With the sharks,
yeah.
That was really special. And also being in the Mustang with the roof down and singing Stick Season at the top of our lungs.
That was so fun.
But do you know another memory that I actually love? When you come over, sometimes Chris will stay till like 1 AM and I'm literally like tucked up in bed like, But I love those moments.
But also I'm like, I can go to bed, like I can leave. And she's like, no, you can stay. And I'm like, okay. And then we just chat about things forever. We never have something to not chat about.
Yeah.
Ever. And also because my subscribers are way too nice to me, they asked you some questions about me. Who is your favorite cast member this contract and why is it Kristine?
Well, it's not Kristine.
I'm kidding, you don't have to answer. It just is funny. Sometimes it's me and sometimes I'm
really
not. I'm the least favorite.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Last question you guys asked was, is Kristine your best dancer?
No.
That is true.
You know why though? Because I have worked with many casts and this is the most consistently even cast in terms of, in my opinion, there's no one that I go, oh my god, like they're the standout in the cast. Everyone is so talented, like insanely talented, but everyone works together really well. You are an incredible dancer though.
Thanks.
but I
So
don't
are
have.
you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. That's all we have today. If you enjoyed this video, you guys already know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell so you're notified every time I make a post. Stay tuned on my Instagram to see where I am in the world, and also follow LJ on Instagram, which I'll link her right down below. Also, I'm going to link her channel because she's going to make one, so it's going to be down below.
My first video is going to be next week, and I'm going to do the dance captain room tour, so you'll actually get to see where I live. And I will also include my office in that as well, so you guys can see where my workspace is.
So make sure you follow LJ, and she will tell you way more about the dance captain life than I can. But thanks for coming and joining
Thanks for having me, guys.
And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having the very best day. See you in the next video.
Also, what's another thing of challenging? I hate texting.
Yeah, you're a pretty bad texter. And we fight about it often, but that's okay.
Fight about it often.
I had to go at LJ yesterday because I text her at 9 a.m. She sends me a funny Instagram reel at 11 a.m. and then wonders where I am at 11:30. But I'm not going to text her because she already hasn't responded to my text.
It wasn't yesterday.
No, but we fought about it yesterday.
We did fight about it yesterday.
I call her out.
She calls me out, I call her out, so
Yeah,
potato
that's
potato.
true. That's true.